Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining us for today's episode of Canal Days. As always, I am your host, Carrie, along with my co-host, founder of the Historical Tours of Greater Holyoke, Robert Coleman. Our Canal Days series delves into the vast collection of historic sites throughout Massachusetts, with Robert's expertise of the local history as our personal guide. Each episode, we uncover history throughout local communities, with historic houses, meaningful monuments, and preeminent pivotal pioneers and remarkable remaining remnants, all while uncovering their seminal significance. Today's episode of Canal Days will be canvassing the Agawam First Baptist Church, located in Agawam, Massachusetts. Now, summarize the church's history.
All right, we're going to talk about this wonderful Baptist church, and it's always important to remember that the Baptists tried to be far away from where the Congregationalists are. And the reason why is that they felt that the Congregational religion would dominate them. And in one sense, there always was a church tax, but the church tax went to pay for the Congregationalists. And that wasn't eliminated in Massachusetts until the 1820s or so. So, I could understand what they're doing. Get away from them, get your own religion the way you want it, set up things the way that you think they should be. And this happened over and over again in the Connecticut River Valley and probably all the way through New England itself. So, the history is this. In 1790, they decided to form the First Baptist Church in Agawam. At that point, it was still part of West Springfield. And the building itself was made in 1830. So they had a predecessor building that was nearby. And for 40 years, they used that one. But the one there has been around almost 100 years now, which is simply incredible, and it's in fine shape. And since they tried to get away from the Congregationalists, but the Congregationalists were dominant, at some point they're going to catch up with them in terms of location. And it happened over and over again. East Longmeadow, Granby, South Hadley, Holyoke, Agawam, all had this situation where they get away from either Northampton or Springfield, the big locations for the Congregationalists. But the Congregationalist settlers would spread out, and it would look like they were there all the time. But if you know history, no, there's a lot of these communities, the Baptists were there first.
And can you characterize the architectural style of the church's exterior?
Yes, it's a Greek revival style. You can tell that by stress on a projecting porch, but that is usually very simple. And around the 1820s, 30s, and early 40s, this Greek revival style was in vogue, and that's why they used it. I'd love to see a picture of the first church from 1790 onwards. It was probably a colonial style, but it's hard to tell. It might have been something else. But if I ever get it, remember I have a web page for every church, and this one I'll post that church if I ever get some kind of artistic rendition of it.
And stick around, and we will be right back after a few words from this announcement. Are you fascinated by local history and eager to investigate the obscure treasures off the beaten path throughout the state of Massachusetts? Or maybe just seeking an unforgettable cultural activity for family and friends to enjoy? Look no further than Historical Tours of Greater Holyoke, founded by Robert Coleman. With over a decade of experience, Robert offers captivating tours and presentations of historic sites and landmarks throughout the state. Whether you're interested in canals, cemeteries, charming churches, or more, Robert's tours provide a unique and enriching experience for all. And that's not it. You can also schedule private tours tailored to your interests, ensuring a personalized adventure and unforgettable memories. Perfect for families or groups of all sizes, making for an exciting hands-on learning experience that brings history to life. Simply visit holyokecanaltour.org or email bobcat4214 capital B at yahoo.com to book your private tour today. But wait, there's more. Don't miss out on Robert's podcast and video series, Canal Days, where you can dive even deeper into the vital history of the Connecticut River Valley. Plus, for those who may not be local or would rather enjoy on the go, or from the comfort of their home, Canal Days brings the adventure right to your screen. So don't miss out. Uncover the pivotal past with the historical tours of Greater Holyoke to make your own history with memories that will last a lifetime. Remember to log on to holyokecanaltour.org for more information and secure your personalized experience today. Welcome back to our Canal Days episode of the Agawam First Baptist Church. And can you reveal the significance of this church's location?
Yes, it's on the main strip of road that forms Agawam. Since the Connecticut River goes in a north-south fashion through Agawam, this road, Main Street, goes in a north-south fashion, almost always fairly close to it, up to a few hundred yards away, up to a quarter mile away. And it was a scene of the old-time businesses, a lot of farms, churches, so forth, cemetery, schools, and anyone that did a trade would probably be based in this area. There'd be distilleries here. There was actually a small canal and reservoir system off of it. Mostly were farmers, but you'd also have those tanneries and those grist mills nearby. There is a small brook called a 3-mile brook right outside Main Street to the west. A typical main street, and it kind of parallels the principal street of West Springfield, which was its parent community, and Holyoke also was, which also has a road that would go along the same direction, north and south, but in Holyoke's case, it's far away from the river for the most part. So, why would you put a Baptist church here? Because it was near the river, near to where you can get places going, and why not? But it was also advantageous for other things to be there, some positive and some relative to the Baptist church negative.
And can you portray what the surrounding area and any significant buildings or features are nearby?
Okay, so up close to this Baptist church, across the street they developed Agawam's Congregational Church, and I mean almost directly across the street. And of course you needed rectories, and the Baptist church parsonage was maybe about, let's say about 200 feet to the north on the same side of the road. And then also you might think, you need stores. Yeah, right to its, if you face into the Baptist church, right to its left was a store. And in that store, there's the post office. And just about 200 feet away, there was a cemetery. These are the things you expect. And the school, well, that was about 200 feet up the road north, but on the other side of the street. So you had almost everything right together to form a village. But that's what you expect. Now, the Congregational Church being there, that was a competitor. Because just because you form a Baptist church and you get your people there first, doesn't mean that newcomers are going to join you. They might join the Congregational Church, or some people might leave for that church, and that happened quite often. So, it made a little village, and this little village still exists for the most part. Kind of what it looked like 200 years ago. Not what it looked like, though, 250 years ago. Been a lot of changes now.
And thank you for listening to Canal Days and our episode on the Agawam First Baptist Church, and joining us on our journey through the rich history of the Connecticut River Valley. We hope you enjoyed uncovering some of the hidden and overlooked marvels and their fascinating stories that shaped our past in the state of Massachusetts. A special thanks to Robert Camus, founder of the Historical Tours of Greater Holyoke, for sharing his passion and expertise with us. Remember, you can find more information about Robert's tours, book private tours, and explore the Canal Days video and podcast series at holyokecanaltour.org. If you enjoyed today's episode, please like, comment, and share. We'd love to hear your thoughts and suggestions for future episodes. Don't forget to keep exploring and discovering the history that is hidden in plain sight all around us. Thanks for listening, and tune in to our next episode of Canal Days on HolyokeCanalTour.org.